I want to share with you the absolute fastest way that I have found to sharpen your chainsaw. Hey everybody, Chad Cruiser here with Health and Homestead, where we show research on gardening, agriculture. We also talk about homesteading, living in the country. If you want to learn more about these things, hit the subscribe button. When you're going to sharpen your chain, first of all, you want to have it ready. Because it's better to have it when it's sitting in storage, when you're not using it, nice, ready to go. Because imagine a tree comes down, a limb comes down over your driveway, and you've got to go deal with it. And then you get there and you've got this totally dull chain. And then you got to, take care of it. And obviously in an emergency, it's really nice to have it ready. But with what I'm going to show you, it really doesn't matter. It take you literally like 30 seconds, maybe a minute to get the thing done. Typically, the old-fashioned way is you get one of the simple files and you can just go along the prescribed angle for your particular chain. And as you do it, it might take you, 10 minutes or so, not terribly long. It may be when you're out in the field, you got to do it. If you're working all day felling trees, we felled all of this around here, all around the house, where we grow our food and such, or at least as much of the food as we've been able to grow, which isn't nearly enough. But nevertheless, obviously you have to do it from time to time during the day, especially, as you probably know, you don't want to dip your tip down in the soil and hit a rock or something very quickly. It dulls. So you want to make sure that you keep it sharp as long as possible, but inevitably the time comes when you have to sharpen it. And you probably know already, but to beginners out there, you know that you need to sharpen it when it's clearly dull, but you can actually see that taking place when you are actually in the process of, actually cutting through something. And I want to show you what it looks like when you need to sharpen your chainsaw. Obviously, when doing any kind of logging, safety first. It's always good to wear some gloves. It is also, a helmet's good, especially if you're felling. I'm not felling right now, but having eye deficiency, nearsightedness, I always get debris up in my glasses, and they're good for protection. It's always good to wear some protection, but I love the mesh, or I guess it's a screen, but this thing is super helpful to get the debris out of the eyes and out of the glasses, keeps my glasses clean. And so we'll give it a start. There's certain things that are going to tell you that your chain is dull. Now, if you've been doing this for years, you already know what it is, but for those of you who are new to cutting, one of the things that helps you to realize that your chain is dull is just simply subpar cutting quality. So you're cutting along and it's just very slow, it's not working well, and you have to put a lot of muscle into it. Once you start getting to that point, it's coming to your mind, at least if you've done it for some time, you realize, okay, it's time to sharpen my chain. Now, another thing that might tell you that it's time to sharpen your chain is you might start having kind of a jostling, shaking, kind of just an uneven cutting. It just doesn't feel comfortable. You can tell something's not right. Now, that can happen from one of a few different things. Sometimes if you've been doing a lot of cutting and somehow you've lost some of the teeth, it can be from that. So that's not necessarily the sharpness. It's that you're missing teeth. Obviously, this needs to be sharpened, or not sharpened, tightened here. But it also could be if you have maybe nicked some stones or some dirt, you may have a section of it that isn't as sharp as the rest. And so every turn, every time it's spinning around the bar, when it's hitting the wood, that part is kind of, giving you trouble. And as a result, sharpening the whole thing should end up hopefully taking care of that problem. But that's the second one. A third thing that might make you realize that you need to sharpen your chain is smoke. If you're seeing smoke coming out somewhere, actually almost anywhere in the process of cutting, obviously if it's coming out of the chainsaw itself, that might be a different situation, but when it's actually coming out of the bar somewhere, that can happen for one of a few different reasons. It can be that you've pinched your bar somewhere, or you have some damage in the tip. If it's really been compressed or damaged, it may actually be creating smoke from that. But it also could be just because it's so dull that as it's spinning in there, it's creating so much friction with the wood that it's striking every time that actually, you know, smoke begins to come out. Another thing that you need to think about in that situation is, do you have your chain oil in there? Do you have enough of that? Because you may have run out of chain oil and it's just creating so much friction, it's causing you trouble. So make sure you have enough oil in your, you know, reservoir there, so you're up to speed on that. So those are three major things that will tell you that it's time to sharpen your chain. The way you can tell that this chain needs to be sharpened is the fact that instead of having nice, good-sized chips of wood that are actually flying off as I'm cutting, instead you're starting to get basically like sawdust. When you're just spitting out sawdust, you know that your chain actually needs to be sharpened. And so you can get out your file, you can start that process, or you can get this simple tool and sharpen it in no time. So here it is. It's the Oregon Power Sharp. It's a super simple device. It's not that expensive, and you simply open it up, put it over the tip of your bar, and I'll show you. You literally just push it into a stump for I would say half a second, maybe a second, and your chain is going to be as, you know, razor sharp at that point. So I'll show you how to put it on. It's pretty simple. You just hook it on. It shows you what direction. You always want to make sure you have it pointing the right direction. You simply hook it on the end of your bar, and this is how it looks. You fire it up and you simply push it into the pressure actually activates it to actually make the friction that will sharpen it. And like I said, a half a second, I wouldn't even say a second, a half a second, and the whole thing will be sharp. So you just literally get it going, put it up against it, and you've got to put a bit of pressure. Here's how it goes. I actually haven't done it yet. Here we go. Ready? All right, so we take it off and let's see how it cuts now. I'll tell you what, that is a major difference. So now we've got better chips flying off and it cuts through no problem. It was going real slow before. You know, also when you've really got a lot of pressure and you're really pushing down and you feel like you're getting a serious workout, you know your chain needs to be sharpened at that point. So that gives you an idea. Super fast. Obviously, it takes longer to show you how to do it than it does to actually do it. In the field, you could pull that thing out and within probably 30 seconds, your chain is totally ready to go. And it just really speeds things up. Now, one of the things to think about is this doesn't, as far as I know, it does not work with every brand of chainsaw. There's several that it does work with. And so if you buy one, make sure that it actually works with the manufactured chainsaw that you have. And that way you don't get it home, try to put it together, and then it just simply doesn't work. So this is specific to certain manufacturers, and check out for yourself on that one. But it's super helpful. It makes it as good as any chain I've ever used. Even better maybe sometimes. It can be ridiculously sharp, and the great thing is you don't have to spend all the time doing it. So if you like this video, hey, check out the links below. If you have any interest in checking out one of these, I have some affiliate links down below. If you like this video, hit the subscribe button, hit the, share it with somebody, give us some comments if you like something, if you didn't like it. Either way, share it with me down below. God bless and have a fantastic day.